What have we here? It is an IBM PS2 Model 30-021. That's the version with the 8088 and the 720K and the 10 megabyte hard drive. We'll see if this one here still works, because they're a bit iffy, and they all have, of course, special pinouts and special cables. It's not IDE, everything is special, thanks IBM. Anyways, pretty dirty, no battery leakage, woohoo, which is good. But customer states won't turn on. So we got power here. Normally I wouldn't just throw electrons at this, but since the customer already did that, let's give it a hoot. Yeah, and nothing. I will now check whether or not there are some tantalum caps here blown, because these are capacitors, these things, and they are tantalum caps, and these old ones, they have a tendency to just, blow. Especially on the 12 volt rail, because they're usually 16 volt rated, and that apparently 12 volt is a little too hot. So let's check for shorts, and we'll get back. Well, I was just getting ready to measure some shorts when I leaned against this part here with my hand, and it tingled a bit. My goodness. So we are here in multimeter. Tingling indicates to me there's probably the DC here leaking into the chassis. And when I touch this with just one probe, watch what happens. Boink. Hello, we got 2 voltage. Like, so what, 4 volts peak to peak DC? And when I touch, how do I do that? Floating here, one probe, when I go touch this, and look at this. So yeah, there's a short, and I can already tell you, because of that, it's most likely a short that lives in the power supply. First things first, we'll unplug this without zapping ourselves. There you. So now we're floating again. Now it should go away. Yeah, there we go. No more voltage. Weird, huh? So that's annoying. Let's find out where it is. Oh man, I forgot how loud these are. Holy cow. But she's spinning. Yep. Oh, I don't feel like existing much. Oh, look at that. She works. I'm very impressed. We're back again with a Model 30. Disk drive is detected. Booting from the disk drive. Seems to work. Even still has charge in the barrel battery, which I haven't replaced yet. Isn't that something? Anyways, okay. But now, if we try, oops, numlock was on. If we try, our Bastion can't type today. Here we go. If we try this, oh, and it says sector not found, error. Okay, here we go. The hard drive is, you heard it. There's no way this hard drive will ever work again like it used to. Customer says, don't worry about it, because these, even if I get to fix this, which I have revived these disk drives before, but even if you do fix them, they have a tendency to break again. Anyways, using my XT IDE card and this here trusty compact flash, we booted into C. Now we're gonna do numlock. It's really annoying that numlock keeps booting on. IMD, let's check the disk drive. We look at alignment test like so. she spins. She spins just fine. And there she goes. Now I can go to, let's say, track 10, and it seems to work. But when I go to, say, track 60, it starts failing. And I learned that apparently 16 or so is when it starts to fail. So, the saga continues after the floppies, before the floppy, right? This one is fixed. This one is fixed. Now it's time to fix this one. And since they all have these issues with a halfway stuck worm gear / stepper motor situation, I figured it would be interesting to show what it looks like when this thing is apart. So, and I also thought it would be interesting to see how quickly I can disassemble it. So, let's get started. There, done. Just under 6 minutes to completely disassemble this drive. It works just fine until literally about here. And from this point forward, roughly around where this little pivot point here is for the mechanism, that's when it stops turning. I can move it back, sure. I can move it forward, but now it stops. And that's the problem. That's what kills most of the drives. Well, that and these capacitors, mostly this one here, they all leak. On this board here, it looks like they have not, which is good. So I would expect this thing here to turn just okay. The lower part of the assembly here is just responsible for maintaining the motor speed, I guess. And this here, this 150 volt 1 microfarad capacitor supplies the Hall sensor. And if this one dries out, the motor won't spin right. Online is one video where a guy actually found 4 faults, or 3 or 4 faults on these drives. And he found this one to be broken, this one to be broken, and another chip to be broken, in addition to the capacitors. So I guess that's unusual. The thing that usually happens is the capacitors on the bottom board and the fact that this here gets stuck. We can't actually test the floppy drive in IMD unless we can put a floppy in, right? And we can't put a floppy in unless the mechanism is reassembled. So let me quickly show you how to reassemble the mechanism. First thing you want to do is you want to take these O-rings here, these metal ones that I talked about in the other clip, put them onto this little axle here, whatever. It almost makes, like, between the two of them and this axle, it almost makes like a ball bearing, right? It's almost like a ball bearing that facilitates the sliding up and down of the drive. Then what I like to do, so we're gonna then slide this little plastic bit here. There's a little plastic piece, this one here. This plastic piece moves the head up like so, and that wants to live on top of the drive mechanism. So when the disc is ejected, it'll open the drive head for you. So it'll go and slide in here carefully, very carefully slide in here. And then those two, they slip in. These ball bearings I just spoke about will slip into this little nook on both sides, just like so. Then I like to take the side first that is away from the stepper motor. And this is a little peculiar because I spoke of the fact that there has this little arm here, right? This little arm. This needs to engage with this little pin and do so in a fashion where when it opens up, hits this little thing here. Because this little mechanism, it wants to hit against here because this little mechanism is what opens the disc, what opens the door of the disc when you insert it. The way these go on is different from what you think. You think it goes this way or this way, but it'll go on with a large part on top like this. And I've learned the way it works best if you slide it like so. You add it to the side where it needs to go, and then this arm wants to rest, and then you push the arm up with the entire bracket a little bit like this. And then you have to push this thing back a little bit. See how there's a little space here? Yeah, you want this entire unit to come forward a little. So we're gonna press up on here, and now it's engaged with the thing that it rests upon, and the holes line up. And once you're in this position, we can quickly put the screws in. Okay, now this won't go anywhere. And look, I did that without dropping anything on the ground. Jinx. This side is good. Whew. And then this side goes on the same way. The tall part goes up top, and these rubber pads, they face outside. Okay, so like this is how it assembles. And the screws sink into their little pockets like this. Like this. Okay, now is when the springs go back on. The springs engage here and here. I'm not going to engage the springs because I am only going to put the floppy in once, and I can do that manually, so I don't need the springs to undo the tension to open this thing up for me. Doink, there it is. Shove it in. You can see we just assembled everything correctly because this arm here is opening the floppy, and now it's engaged properly, even without the springs. But now of course if you press here, it won't engage it won't eject the floppy anymore. It'll just keep it inside forever. So yeah, so the springs are important, but for testing right now, I think we can go without it. Watch me now jump cut to a clip where I actually installed the springs because I was wrong. So we'll see. Anyways, we'll see how this works. See you in a bit. Alignment test again, different floppy. All right, trick 60, trick 20, 50, 40, 30, 70, 40, 30, 80, beyond the limit, 79, yeah, all right, 20, let's look at track 17 again. Yeah, okay. just like that, the computer's fixed, friends. Only one thing left to do. Well, now to sort the other one, which is in much rougher condition. 2 broken disk drives, which are repaired, and the broken power supply. But first, it's very dirty. So let's give this thing a good clean. Okay, so we're in the basement today. At the bench we have the power supply from the Model 30. Remember how it gave me a little tingling, and so there was some voltage leaking to the ground on the chassis, and wow, that was no fun. Tell you, these power supplies for a almost 40-year-old device, I'm gonna tell you what, this is surprisingly complicated, and taking it apart was no way easy. But don't try this at home, kids, okay? So there are dangerous voltages in here. Only open these up if you know what you're doing and if you're a trained professional, or in my case, if you're a lunatic. It was dead. It was nothing, it did absolutely nothing. And I could not, the usual suspects for these power supplies is that there are end-stage filter capacitors here, and when they are bad, then they usually keeps the output low, or the voltage isn't high enough, and sometimes it's even dead. The other thing that could happen is that these power MOSFETs here, they like to burn out, and those ones here as well. Curiously, this one has another one on this daughter board here. I'm not entirely sure what it does, but well, it's here. It's for good measure, I guess. And as you can see, these power MOSFETs, all 5 of them are on attached to heat sinks. So obviously they get very warm and they burn up. And we can see a bunch of power resistors. We can see a power resistor here, here, and back there. And they obviously also get warm. And the usual suspect is that anything that is near things that get warm, like this capacitor, like it's right between the heatsink and the power MOSFET, or these transistors that are down there, you like to think that everything that is near where it gets warm, they just get baked, right? So and it often happens that this capacitor here is getting baked to absolute death, and then it's empty and dry, doesn't hold capacitance. So that's usually what I would suspect, but after recapping this entire board, that wasn't it, friends. It wasn't the capacitors. So I looked at the power transistors, all 5 of them, and that wasn't it either. I don't know. So in an attempt, I was really at the end of, and I'm sorry I didn't make a good video of it, because I just kind of went after it. But yeah, well, first of all, the only thing that I found is that these 3 capacitors were the only ones that were bad, and they weren't even very bad. So if I put one of these here into my Chinesium tester, it says that this one is a 4,100 microfarad and it's rated for 4.7. So it decreased in capacity quite a bit, but ESR of 0.16 ohms, that's okay. The capacity is maybe a little low, so that's why that's why I'm junking it. So even all the power transistors here, for example, this one, everything here tested just okay. And being at a loss of what to do, I decided to just go for it, flip the power supply over, and well, let's observe what happens. Oops, but let's observe what happens when I put it on. Oh, light click, very good. 5 volt and ground. And now it's off. What the heck? What the heck? And it's broken again. Like yesterday it worked. I swear to Christ, it worked fine yesterday. Why is it not working now? What happened? I guess I desoldered all the power transistors and put them back in, and I reflowed them, and in the process of doing so, which makes me think maybe that's why it works. Maybe, you know, there was a bad solder joint in one of the power MOSFETs, and just the act of taking it out, putting it back in, made it come back to life. But now it's dead again, and I really want to know why.
This is so bizarre. Nothing on 5 volts. Nothing on negative 5 volts. Nothing on 12 volts. Just nothing. So, what the heck? So we should have 110 here.
At some point I noticed how there are, let's say, wobbly solder joints on this secondary board here. So I reflowed those, and well, it came back to life. Now when I plug in my trusty multimeter, and it would decide to actually stay in here, and we power this guy on carefully. We're at 5 volts, so that's nice. And let's see. Turn her around. Whoppa. Turn her around. That was a good big impact. I wanted to show one more thing, actually. There it was. I just saw a tiny little bit of a spark over there. And I'm having a feeling it's dead again. The power supply is dead again, isn't it? Yep. What is going on? So let's try this one more time. Solder this in. Let's see what it does now, shall we? Yep, there it is. That's it, friends. The secondary power board here is the one that likes to die. But I'm going to show you one more thing. So yeah, 1500 volts over here on the primary side. Very family friendly. Don't touch it. Moving this daughter board too much.
See, this one was wrapping around like this. This looks like so. These fat cables that go from the input stage here over to the power switch. Oh, I forgot to check this one cable here off, and the big fat capacitors are discharged, so 1500 volts is what I'm saying. Okay. So we definitely want to next.
Quick test if we screwed up. There we go. 5 volts. And the fan is working on. Okay, friends, do you remember we also had this problem with leaking current here on the power supply? And I just want to show you that I hold this one, I float this one. No more leaking current. It's isolated now. That's good. Let's double check AC. There's no more AC leaking through it. And the reason for that was these Class Y safety capacitors. You may have heard of reefer caps, and they like to fail on old electronics. And these are basically the smoothing capacitors on the input stage of the power supply. This one has one too. Well, not a reefer, but it has this one right there and this one right there. Those are the same input filter capacitors. Well, these ones here, one of them sits on the neutral to ground, the other one sits on the live to ground, and these ones have failed. You can even see how this one here is slightly cracked. Yeah, and these ones have failed where a little bit voltage leaks through to the ground that's connected to the chassis, and of course from there it'll leak to the ground of the rest of the computer. Not good. So replace those. Everything should be fine. I mean, you could probably leave those out and the computer or the power supply will run fine and safe, but I mean, the designers put them in, so we keep them in. Nice. Look, this one's even better. Well, and there you have it, boys and girls. 1, 2 restored IBM Model 30s. We have the 021 and the 002. The 021 with the floppy and the disk drive, and the 002 with 2 floppy drives. Everything in perfect working order. This one's gonna go back to the customer. This one's gonna go to the shop. Sign up at retrobytemeister.com to be the first one to be notified when the shop goes live. If you need something restored, repaired, or modded, call your boy, Retro Bytemeister. Bye.